everyone. Good morning. I'm Yashvisha, security researcher at McAfee, and it's my pleasure to lead today's presentation on phishing landscape evolution. With experience of 2 years in this domain, we will be covering about how email-initiated malware delivery works. So in this presentation, we'll be talking majorly about 3 points. One would be why specifically phishing emails are targeted as initial vector for any infiltration. Second would be why there is a surge in non-PE malware trends. Why is it that the attackers are focusing on non-PE malwares? Non-PE malwares are the malwares which are not executable like EXEs and DLLs. And third and the final point, that why are attackers after bypassing this interface called AMSI provided by Microsoft. So I will be going into the complexities of these contemporary attacks with Preksha Saxena by my side.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Preksha Saxena, working as a security researcher at McAfee, having decade of experience in malware research and reverse engineering. So Yashvi, as we talk about phishing attack, so what audience think, what exactly phishing emails means?
Well, in layman terminology, anyone would think that phishing would be some deceptive document and fraudulent login pages, right?
Yeah, traditionally it was like that only. Now, how it has been evolved, have some idea?
Well, provided these attackers are all brainy, so it would be more sophisticated now.
Yeah, right. Now, phishing emails has been leveraged to transfer the malware into the system. So it is used for infiltration.
Okay, so I hear you mentioning emails. So why specifically just phishing emails to infiltrate into any system?
Yeah, right. That's a keen observation. So basically, emails are the easy target for the attackers despite of Microsoft active efforts for patching the vulnerabilities and making the system secure. It becomes little tricky for the attackers to get into the system directly using the vulnerability. So that's why they are using phishing emails as their target.
Wow, so is it like that easy to deliver any EXE, any virus, any malware into the system via phishing?
Yashvi, it seems like pretty simple, but it's not. Actually, the email systems such as Gmail have the provision to block the EXE via email. So now, attackers are using non-P vector for infiltration.
Okay, so perfect. Let's get through this.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So email lures. Phishing emails has this array of deceptive tactics that the attacker use for the malware infiltration. So these deceptive tactics involve travel, invoice, some fake purchase order, some emergency follow-up messages, and blur documents. The number of deceptive tactics are endless, and all these tactics are crafted in such a way that the attacker think that it look like a legit, and the user also think that it's a legit page and fall into this lure and click on the malicious link and click on the suspicious attachment if it is having. So what exactly the purpose of these phishing emails and the deceptive tactics? So the main purpose is to download the non-P vector into the system so that they can proceed with the infection. So as I explained why non-P vectors are important, so let's see the trend of it. So with the Microsoft macro blocking measures, the usage of the Office files in the emails become reduced. Now they have using different file types for the spreading. So according to the Virus Total report, the distribution of malware as an attachment in case of non-P vectors has been increased. So they also mentioned about the HTML pages with the JavaScript embedded in it, and the suspicious PDF as an attachment has been the fast growing file format as an attachment. Also, they have mentioned about the traditional file types such as XLS, CAV files, and the other compressed file formats. They has been reduced. Now, the increase in the HTML attachment and the PDF vectors. So, the similar kind of trend we have also seen in last month in our spam trap. So, as you can see in the chart, the trending file types are HTML, PDF, and XLSX. So, we will be covering these 3 file types in our later slide. So, all these non-P vectors are used by the different malwares. So, some of the malwares are Remcos, Agent Tesla, Redline, Darkgate, and so on. So, here we will be talking about one of the notorious malware, that is Darkgate, that uses multiple file types for spreading into the system. So, Darkgate, previously we have seen leveraged PDF with the usage of auto IT utilities for spreading the malware. Now, in the recent development, they have changed their attack vector, and through phishing email, they are delivering XLSX and HTML files with the usage of auto hotkey for the spreading. Now, we will be studying the attack chain of Darkgate in depth using the non-P vectors like XLSX and HTML. So, what exactly these auto IT scripts and auto hotkey do? So, these scripts utilities are generally the channel for delivering the malware into the system by injecting the payload through these utilities. So, this is the recent Darkgate infection chain that has been described here. So, as you can see, through the phishing email, the non-P vectors are delivered. In the first case, it is HTML, and in the second case, it is XLSX. And the later chain remain the same, which spread the malware using SMB, which eventually having the URI or the VBS file, and then it execute the PowerShell, and along with that, it download multiple files like auto hotkey and scripts and the encrypted text file, which is basically the shell code which has been injected into the system using the auto hotkey. So, why the XLSX and HTML has been leveraged by the Darkgate? So, let's discuss further. So, why malwares are using XLSX, especially in case of Darkgate? First, the trusted format. As this is the macro-free format, it doesn't support macro, so it has built the trust on the user as well as on the business. So, most of the business like travel companies or banks are using XLSX for delivering their document. And also, it has the capability for embedding the malicious, for embedding the content, and that could be malicious in case of the attacker. And one most important point is the template injection in which support in the XLSX. So, this template injection has been leveraged by Darkgate. So, we'll study more about it, how Darkgate did this. So, first image, as you can see, is the Darkgate XLSX sample, which has been saying that if you want to view this document, you need to click on the open button. Once the user click on this open button, the action behind it has been triggered. That is the VBS file, which is present in the XML file, present in the Rails folder that get executed. And the Office prompt came that warned the user, if you want to run this external file, then click on OK. And if by mistakenly user click on that OK button, then the Darkgate infection happened in the background, and user will not get to know that the infection happened. So, where is this Rails folder? basically this XLSX is based on the XML format. So once you extract the files, you will get the Rails folder, and inside that there is a XML file in it. And there is the external link present, which is shown here. So below is the Darkgate process tree. Once the user by mistakenly ignore the office prompt and click on the warning, then the VBS file get executed and the following tree happen. So as I mentioned, there is a warning prompt of the office that says that it's a warning and it's the XLSX file, try to open the external file. So to overcome this point, attacker also used the HTML page as an attachment in the phishing, so that a user, if the infection not happened through the XLSX file, then it can also leverage HTML for the action. So why HTML? So most of the businesses like travel companies or banks and financial institutions are using the HTML as for delivering their documents. So first, it's the ease of distribution. Also, it supports the scripting capabilities like JavaScript, and also it has the capability to run the data at runtime. So here is the example of one more sophisticated malware, that is Async Rat, that has been delivered through the phishing email. The email looked like a legit one. Once the user just click on the HTML page, the infection happen and Async Rat get downloaded into the system and do the infiltration. So let's go deeper into the Darkgate infection chain of HTML through HTML page. So first is the malicious HTML page of Darkgate, which look like a Word document. So how it open? Once you get a phishing email of Darkgate having the HTML attachment, once you click on the HTML attachment, it redirects to a browser and open this HTML page. The user think like it's a Word document, but it's not. It masquerades itself as Word document and featuring a deceptive prompt labeled Cloud View. Once the user click on the Cloud View, then it will redirect to a Windows Explorer prompt which says that it want to switch the window from Explorer to another window. So how it happened, how the switch happened, for studying this, we reversed the HTML file and we got to know that this HTML page is having a JavaScript embedded in it. So this, and also the marked red portion seems suspicious. So basically this is reversed base64 encoded data. So when we check this data, we got to know that it is a web dev share query, which try to access a VBS a URL file which is present at somewhere remote location. So it is using the search MS application protocol which search this particular file, and the display name is given as onedrive.live.com. So what does display name means? So once the user click on the phishing page and the HTML page get open and the user click on the Cloud View, it redirect to a Windows prompt, and once the user give the permission to switch the window, then second image that mentioned as report 26 hyphen some year will get appear. And if you keenly see the name, it pretend as onedrive.live.com. Actually, it's not the actual name, it's a fake name given by the attacker so that the user observe that it's coming from a OneDrive location. But actually, it is some URL which has been hidden behind it. That is mentioned in the first image. Also, what malware do, the URL file pretend to be as the PDF one. It has given the icon of PDF so that the user think like it is not a URL file, it's a PDF file, and it open just by clicking it. So once the user click on this URL file, the VBS file whose path is present in this URL file that get executed. So this whole Darkgate infection chain also attempt to bypass the Microsoft Defender SmartScreen prompt. And the associated CVs with it are mentioned here. So about these CVs, Yashvisha will go through it.
Thank you so much, Preksha. So in a nutshell, this web dev share query just shows that it number one, it tries to access .url file. The location is also mentioned there from which particular location it has to get the URL file, and the display name as Preksha mentioned, which you can see in the second window that it mentions as onedrive.live.com, which is like set up. It has been set up. It is not how it appears to be. Speaking of the vulnerabilities that are mentioned here, so you might think that if a VBS is running in the background, you should get a SmartScreen prompt saying whether you want to run the VBS or not. Well, that happens in all the file types, or that used to happen in all the file types, but in .url file, which we also refer as internet shortcut file. So these internet shortcut files, if they try to run any VBS script remotely, it was possible for the URL file to bypass the Windows Defender SmartScreen prompt, so user won't even realize if they are accessing some VBS file remotely, and it also implies lolbars. So Microsoft fixed it with this particular vulnerability, that even if the URL file tries to access any VBS file remotely, it should give a Defender prompt, SmartScreen Defender prompt. Well, it again got bypassed. How? So imagine that a URL file referencing another URL file, and that second URL file referencing the .vbs file. That's how they bypassed the first vulnerability as well, and they came up with a new vulnerability, which was recently patched by Microsoft with the CV of 21412. So this is how these vulnerabilities were attempted to be bypassed, and if your system is not up to date, you're still prone to be bypassed by the second vulnerability. So this was about XLSX and HTML. I'm going to take you forward to the third and important non-PE vector, that is PDF. So last year was a huge year for PDF malwares. We saw a lot of PDF malwares coming in through our spam traps, through our telemetry. So the question is, why PDF? What is there in PDF that the malware authors love about? One would be the widespread usage, because whatever we do, you all have come here, you are staying at some or the other hotel. How did you get your booking confirmation? Through PDF. Anything you need, if it's not a PDF, you're not certain that your booking is done or not, right? So that's one thing. Second thing would be the exploitability. By exploitability, I mean that these PDFs, they need a reader software so that the PDFs can be executed. And these reader softwares are full of vulnerabilities. So that makes it the icing on the cake for the malware authors. And last and finally, the social engineering opportunities. PDFs, it's really easy to craft them the way you want. You can give any face, any size, any shape. It's up to you. You can make it look as legitimate as you want. So these are the three reasons that PDFs are on top. Well, coming to the very important attack chain that we have discovered last year or in the beginning of this year, we saw this PDF coming in through the spam trap. It had the warning written in Spanish, which means that the reader is not compatible. Well, we got this email. It was pertaining to be booking.com's phishing email, which we recognized because in booking, instead of 00, it was, double O, it was a 0 and a O. So if you don't look properly, you will probably fall for it. What is so special about this PDF malware is it has two ways for infiltration. Number one, if your reader is old and unpatched, it has a certain way of infiltration. And number two, if your reader is patched and updated, it has a certain way of infiltration. I'm going to take the old and unpatched version first. So you see here, there is this this is a reader, and on clicking on OK button, the MSHTA is invoked, and the parameter is the entire JavaScript which is embedded in the PDF, and it gets executed, and it connects to the remote location, downloads the payload, and certainly injects in regsvcs.exe. That is how it works in unpatched version. In the patched version, what it does is when you click on OK, they redirect you to the legit booking.com website, and then they prompt you whether you want to download this file or not. So if you see the name, it is like booking.com hyphen and some random number. So that you would feel like, my confirmation is here, I need to see how the ticket looks like, how the booking looks like. So you would actually download it. But if you don't look closely, the extension is .js. That means it is the script file that is getting downloaded. So if you run the script file, it is going to do the same thing that this script is doing. That is, it will invoke PowerShell, the query will be executed, and voila, the attack happens. Now what's important is they are injecting the payload into regsvcs.exe, one of the legit binaries of Windows, and they are exfiltrating data through Telegram. So why Telegram? Because Telegram is cheap. You don't need to set up any C2 infrastructure, and it's very convenient for attackers to just exfiltrate their data using bots, and you can't even trace it. So this is how the attack with PDF works. Now, I mean, if everything is in PDF, why not to target it? That should be the question, and that would be a valid question, I would say. So unlike in HTML, you can see all the embedded JavaScript, all the embedded URLs present in HTML. It could be obfuscated, encrypted. You might not understand what is in the embedded JavaScript, but it will be there. But in case of PDF, that's not the case. If you simply see the strings of PDF, you won't be seeing any of these embedded JavaScript, any of these embedded URLs stuffed in the PDF. For that, PDF must need to undergo parsing so that it could extract the features like its stream objects and everything. So here, as highlighted, the red box, you can see this entire query here that we got after parsing this PDF through our parser, which was the exact query that was the parameter for mshta.exe. And second, the blue highlighted is the redirection that happens for the patched and updated reader, that it will be redirected here and the JavaScript would be downloaded. Now we are hearing this term a lot, JavaScript, VB script, this script, that script. So what's the solution for script? Because if it is any non-P file, be it HTML, XLS, Office, PDF, anything, it has to come to a point where a script comes in a picture. So how do we defend these script malwares? Well, the answer is something that Microsoft has already provided, that is AMSI. AMSI stands for Anti-Malware Scripting Interface. This is the interface that they've introduced to add an extra layer of security so that, I mean, when a script is running, you won't find any difference in your user interaction. You won't realize anything that is working, but AMSI does the amazing job for you. It collects all the logs for you. It collects what is happening with the help of these scripts, be it PowerShell, be it W script, be it C script. It will collect all the data for you. How? So you see, we have executed one quackbot.js file here, and this is how the process tree is. I'm referring to image number 2. So this is how the process tree is, and you see some curl command and some website it is trying to contact. And when we collected the AMSI logs for this particular infiltration, we found the exact same things happening here. And again, not to mention that there won't be any single log that you would find. When a script is executed, you would find at least hundreds of logs being recorded, and many of them would be benign, but yeah, you would definitely find something of your interest as well. Now, again, the question, if this is so powerful, attackers must have done something around it, right, to bypass it. Well, that's the thing. AMSI working and its bypass. So AMSI-DL is injected into the memory of PowerShell. So when you run any script, it has to pass through this AMSI interface. It collects the logs, it checks the logs, and it will see whether I could let the user run this script or not. So that's what AMSI does for you. So it will check in the database, it will see, hey, this is something this script is trying to do. Should I let the user do it? If the AMSI says no, it's a no for you as well. So if you want to see how this AMSI works, we can refer to the second image. Well, this was the one-liner query, very simple one, that floated over the internet back in 2016 when a researcher posted about this on Twitter, and he claimed that this query could bypass AMSI and it could shut down AMSI for further usage. Well, that was true back then. This query was powerful, but Microsoft has patched this also. They have identified this query also. So they have started to find new ways around it. How? So there are multiple ways they can bypass AMSI now. PowerShell downgrade, word passing, base64 encoding, and much more. Speaking of base64 encoding, I have kept one case study here, where if you can see, they are bypassing using this this entire parameter called AMSI init failed. AMSI init failed is failing of AMSI initialization. So if some query occurs, it could be missing parameters or permission issues, it would set this flag as true. So if some issue is there, it will tell the interface that, hey, some issue is there, hang on, we can't scan right now. So what happens in this case is AMSI scanning would be halted, and malwares could do whatever they want to do. So taking you to the previous slide, you see if AMSI identifies something here, it will give you the message that this script contains malicious content and has been blocked by your antivirus. This is the message you would get when your malware is trying to do anything sneaky onto your system, especially the script files. And in this one, if you see, there is this base64 encoded content, and when we decoded it, it formed to be the exact string that we were discussing in the previous slide. So when we executed this PowerShell, we found that we were not getting any detection last year. And when we removed this particular instruction, then we were getting detection for this particular PowerShell script. What this means is last year, this query was effective and AMSI was bypassed by this query, but it is now patched again. Now taking a step ahead, I mean, it's a cat and mouse game, right? So again, this is a new approach to bypass AMSI. How it does is, recently we came across this Ramcus red infection chain, wherein this first line in the first image, this is another query that they have set, and they are using -f, that is a format operator, to obfuscate this query and to bypass AMSI. I'll just take you through this second image. Here, I'm trying to run a PowerShell script kept remotely on this particular URL using IEX. IEX is used to execute whatever is preceding after IEX. So it gave me this error that, hey, we can't do this. Now, next, I tried to bypass it with a very simple query that was back from 2016. It gave me the same message again. But then I used this first query here in the first image, and then I didn't get any message. Strange, right? Now let me check whether it bypassed or not. And then last instruction, last command is again the first command that I tried to execute the PowerShell script again using IEX. And voila, it worked. AMSI was successfully bypassed, and it has been tested in Windows 11 Pro, which is patched and updated. It has been reported to MSRC, and after their investigation, they find it to be a valid finding. So by now, you should know that, even if they are bypassing AMSI right now, there are high chances that within some days, Microsoft is going to fix it. Now, what are attackers going to do? This can't be, this can't continue for the lifetime, right? So here is the answer. What attackers have done is they've started obfuscating the AMSI logs. So why obfuscating the logs? Let's just say that tomorrow, Microsoft is blocking every measures to bypass AMSI. What are attackers going to do? They are like, okay, we are a step ahead. Attackers be like, what we are going to do is we're going to let you have the AMSI dumps, but they're going to be so useless for you that you won't be able to write any Yara rule or by any other technology, you won't be able to detect with these logs. So this is what happens. The first scenario is creating large, meaningless AMSI dump. So one of the limitations with AMSI is it could only collect logs for first level of PowerShell invoke. Once PowerShell is invoked, it will collect the dump. Now this particular AMSI dump is still obfuscated. It's not de-obfuscated. After 10 to 12 iteration, we could de-obfuscate this particular AMSI dump so that it starts making sense. But we had to do it explicitly. Now we won't be getting any AMSI dumps for those de-obfuscated PowerShells. So if I give you this AMSI log, the first image, would you be able to target anything in this? No. So this AMSI log is good for nothing. Now the second strategy would be on my right, and that would be creating multiple small AMSI dumps. Now this is very interesting and my personal favorite. The trick is very simple. If the script is having 700 line of codes, they're going to put IEX at each and every line so that each and every line generates the AMSI logs separately. What it does, it's number one, it's going to overwhelm the AV provider. It's going to give you 700, 10,000, 12,000, you name it, they will give it. These many numbers of AMSI logs. It's going to be a chaos then. And number two would be, you will get all these small AMSI buffers. Let's just say they are trying to download a payload from a C2 site, and they're using this utility .download string. So in one buffer, you're going to get dot. In one buffer, you're going to get download. In one buffer, you're going to get the string. So could you target it? No. And one of the things with AMSI is you can just target one buffer at a time. You can't target multiple buffers at a time, which makes this particular approach also useless for us and a big win for attackers again. So in a nutshell, even if attackers can't bypass the AMSI, they can still obfuscate the AMSI logs so that these logs are not useful for us researchers and the security community people. Now to conclude, we have covered 3 major points in this presentation, and that would be the key takeaways. One would be why phishing emails are rising. Why is it that they are used to deliver malware into the target system? Number 2 would be why the non-PE vectors are rising. Why is it that the attackers are preferring to deploy more of non-PE malwares rather than PE malwares? And number 3 would be why is it so crucial for attackers to bypass AMSI, and why is it so crucial for us researchers to keep this AMSI going? Well, and about all these infection chains that I have mentioned here, you can find the detailed blogs on this on our LinkedIn handles and on McAfee's website. That would be our presentation.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening to us. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.